Hi, Bothered Brigade. Here's what's bothering me today. This story has some unfortunately necessary content warnings ahead of it, namely child death and human trafficking. So, before we get into the story, I need to reference something that another YouTuber did. Many of you are here thanks to Bo of the Fifth Column, and I think 2 weeks ago now, he made a video about what Canada can do to prepare, because there were some stories and articles floating around at the time of Canada isn't taking the threat of U.S. collapse seriously, so what are we going to do when American refugees show up on the border en masse? And he had some pretty good ideas, and not to, start a Twitter fight or anything, but he doesn't have the full, complete picture, and he also didn't mention some of the stuff that we've already seen with regards to how people are coming into this country, and also just how porous the border here actually is and how people use and exploit that. So again, before we get into the story from today, well, you know what? No, let's actually just get into it. It emerged, I think yesterday, or possibly the day before, of a very horrifying story of a family of 4 Indian nationals who froze to death just, I think, 40 meters north of the Canada-U.S. border near Emerson, Manitoba. They were, stop me, this sounds familiar. They were trying to cross the border, but not the one you might think. They were trying to cross from Canada into the U.S. So what ended up happening that we know of so far is that this family got separated from a larger group that was then picked up by a Florida man who is now in custody. His name is Steve Shand. He's been charged with human trafficking. And this whole story sort of started when the U.S. authorities actually contacted Canadian authorities because a member of the group was found carrying items for a baby, but there was no baby in the group. So the American authorities said, hey, you guys might want to check out what's going on here. You may have some illegals running around in the prairies. It's, winter in the prairies, which means it's deathly cold. And unfortunately, the people in question, including the infant, was found with what are believed to be the mother and father frozen to death in a farmer's field in Manitoba around like snowdrifts and stuff like that. And then a little ways away, just like I think 10 meters away from them, the body of a teenager was found. And so, this is the reality of human trafficking and an open border, right? Because if you want to claim asylum, right, it's perfectly legal to do so at a point of entry. You just, seriously, if someone wanted to claim asylum in Canada, they could cross, by car, at the train station, at an airport, at a bus station, go to a local, immigration office. You can do it online in an email, so long as you're actually in the country when you do so. There are a myriad of ways through which to claim asylum, and it's legal to do so, by the way. However, the problem is that these people were desperately trying to get to the United States. There was a story, I think, of a different suspected human trafficking victim where he bought an illegal and forged Canadian student visa so that he could get to Canada, and then was hoping to use that to sneak into the United States and actually live there. So this speaks to the fact that Canada and America have the world's largest unmilitarized border. There's not a whole lot there. It kind of runs on the honor system, really. And so while, again, Bo's ideas are good for dealing and processing with a large number of people, there's also going to be a ton of people, including human smugglers, that are just going to, take a lovely boat ride around the Great Lakes or something and then casually drop off some people on a nondescript piece of shoreline. People are just going to cross over the many land borders and just, walk around like it's no big deal. We've already seen this where there's that road in, I think, Vermont or New York State, Roxham Road, where it became basically a de facto border crossing because people would bring various migrant workers or people who were afraid of persecution or whatever in the States under Donald Trump's tenure as president, and they were crossing into Canada and claiming asylum, even though, again, you can claim asylum through any legal port of entry. But, that's what ended up happening. And so it became such a stream of people that they ended up creating a kind of officially unofficial border crossing at Roxham Road. So, that's probably going to be something that happens a lot more, especially as, the unfortunate reality, which is why we're talking about this very sad and just unnecessary and grim story. There are still going to be human smugglers and coyotes, however you want to call them, that are going to operate along the Canada-US border, especially during a time of prolonged crisis in the United States. There's no full solution for this because the scale of the border can't be adequately patrolled. But I bring this up because it shows that, hey, while Bo and others, including myself, are working on things for, hey, just in case something happens, what's going to be the actual plan here? We should have a plan. Will it be perfect? No, but it's going to, we should try and do something to help as many people as possible. And part of that is about actively telling people that, they're allowed to claim asylum at legal points of entry. You don't need to just try and illegally cross over, but illegal crossings do happen, as we've seen with Roxham Road, and as we are finding out, unfortunately, grimly, those poor, unfortunate souls in Emerson, Manitoba. Perhaps they got, lost, they went in the wrong direction, and hence why they crossed back over the Canada-US border. And several articles have already remarked how normally it's the other way around, people trying to leave America to come into Canada. And yeah, that may happen a lot more in the future. And this grim, unfortunate reminder that human trafficking and smuggling is still very much a thing on the open porous border means we need to think a lot harder and a lot more critically about what some kind of future response will be if even more of these people start showing up in the wake of some kind of crisis in the States. And I would say that would be what's bothering me today, but it's not. It's part of it, sure, but the core thing that is just sitting with me right now is that 4 people, one of whom is a toddler, the other is a teenager with their lives ahead of them, risked everything to try and seek a better life or the idea of a better life in America. And they unfortunately paid the ultimate price with their lives. And it's just so grimly unnecessary. Whether you think that it's because we have plenty of room and opportunity here in Canada, or there's plenty of room and opportunity in the States, or that, no one should be illegal, it's just so sad. It is a waste of human life undertaking a terrifying journey in the dead, cold dark of winter here in Canada. It's just very grim and depressing and woefully unnecessary. And that's what's bothering me today.